Hey, welcome back to the channel. My name is Dave. Online, I go by Count Chocula, and this is my show called When Comic Books Didn't Suck. I try to do the show weekly. Sometimes real life gets in the way. Probably the best I'm going to be able to do going forward is every 2 weeks. But anyway, I'll try to do better. Welcome back. Welcome back. I've got that song stuck in my head. I went to see Ant-Man Quantumania yesterday in the movie theater, and they have that theme song from Welcome Back, Kotter from the late 70s that I used to watch as a kid, and I've got the damn song stuck in my head now. So anyway, welcome back. Like I said, my name is Dave. I go by Count Chocula. This is a show where I like to talk about comic books, past, present, and future. And speaking of future, we've got the time-traveling villain Kang that was featured in Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania. I did a video with another YouTuber named Blaze Wright. I'll have all his description, a link to his YouTube channel in the description below. And we kind of did a loose, laid back little hour long or so discussion about our feelings coming right out of the movie. So anyway, let's get on with it. Going to be talking a lot about Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff today. I've got there is a guy that did a list on Bounding Into Comics. One of the contributors, Bounding Into Comics, he did a list of he ranked his top 30 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. It didn't include the Deadpool movies. It didn't include the Venom movies or anything like that, but it did include that Incredible Hulk movie. So the Universal Incredible Hulk movie with Ed Norton. So let me move right over here to my topics, and we'll bring up that all 30 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies ranked from worst to best. Now, I have seen Ant-Man Quantumania. I just got caught up. I saw Wakanda Forever a few weeks ago. This article that he contributed to Bounding Into Comics is dated January 27th. So it's a little less than a month ago. And we'll see. It says 30 films down, 30 more to go. I don't know if they're going to reach 30 more the way they're going. But at the end of it, I will kind of give my opinion of where I would put the new Ant-Man and Wasp Quantum Zania or whatever they call it in there. He's got a disclaimer here. This is my list. And if you don't agree with it, you can post your own. Or alternatively, get bent. Well, okay, that's, it's his opinion. I mean, what are you going to do? I'm not making any kind of judgments on his list. I'm just going to give you my list in comparison and let you kind of know where I stand on my opinions. And this is just my opinions of MCU movies. I thought it might be kind of fun to do that. So he's telling you, he says things. Let's get things started with the absolute last bottom entry on the list, which is pound for pound the worst MCU film in existence. I can tell you right now, we kind of disagree on a few things, but our lists are somewhat similar. So kicking off here at number 30, he's got the Eternals that came out in 2021. Kicking off the list is one film that pretty much everyone collectively agrees is the worst MCU entry to date. I can't argue too much with that. That film has really no reason to exist in the MCU. It was pointless. It was another one of their Phase 4. Was that Phase 4? I think it was. I don't know phases, man. I don't care about your phases. I just want good writing. I want stories that aren't nonsensical, and I want it all to tie together. Kind of like this is my same feeling about comic books. I want my comic books to tie together, and I want things to make sense, and I want the source material to be somewhat honored. And Eternals misses the mark on all of that stuff. I'm not going to go into too deep on each movie here, but yeah, Eternals is a sucky movie. I don't have it as the worst movie. My number 30 is Thor: Love and Thunder. I thought Thor: Love and Thunder was an absolute abysmal abomination of a movie. The Watiki, I've talked about him before in previous episodes. Whatever his name is, he's not worth remembering. Taiko Watiki Torch, or whatever his name is. He should be booted. He should be exiled away from comic book movies. And I've heard a rumor that they're actually going to greenlight him doing a Star Wars, some kind of Star Wars property. I don't know if it's going to be a Star Wars streaming show or a actual movie, but good God, do these people have any self-awareness? How does this guy keep getting work? I don't know. He's a clown. The guy, oh my God, man. So anyway, 30, I've got Thor: Love and Thunder. He's got Eternals at 30. He says a pretentious superhero story wrapped in Disney's desire to pander to woke groups for clout. Yeah, that's 100%. I mean, he's spot on that. So we're only off by one. Now at 29, this is funny. At 29, he's got Thor: Love and Thunder. Kat Dennings and Natalie Portman are back. Yay. Okay. I like to look at Kat Dennings. The gaze goes down just a little bit, when I'm looking at Kat Dennings. Natalie Portman, she was the one thing I didn't like about the original Thor movie, okay, is Jane Foster. I don't see what all the hype is about Natalie Portman, all right? So anyway, yeah, he's got Thor: Love and Thunder at 29, and lo and behold, I've got the Eternals at 29. So we flip-flop the worst two. Chris Hemsworth once said that Thor: Love and Thunder was a movie that 7-year-olds would make, and it shows. Don't insult 7-year-olds like that, okay? I know 7-year-olds that would walk out of that movie. That's one movie I didn't go see in the theater. I had a feeling, just from the title alone, and then, they're bringing back that old What If story from the 70s, where, lately they've been running with all of course, the gender swap, just because we can, strong, female heroes. Like there wasn't enough original, badass female heroes to emphasize. You've got to go and gender swap them. Yeah, that was an old What If story. What if Jane Foster got the Mjolnir? That was back when What If in the late 70s that they did that. So, it was cool as a what if alternate reality story, but I don't want it canon, for Christ's sakes. But anyway, let's move on. At 28, he's got Thor, The Dark World from 2013. At 28, I have Captain Marvel. Good old Brie Larson. Got a little bit of info about the upcoming Captain Marvel 2, or whatever they're calling it. They posted a little bit of info about that. That was supposed to be coming out here this summer, but will it now? We don't know. We'll check into that a little bit later after I'm done with this list. So at 28, he's got Thor: Dark World. I didn't like Thor: Dark World at all, but I probably liked it just a little bit better than he did. At 27, he's got Iron Man 2. Now, I disagree with this. Yeah, I said 28 Captain Marvel, right? Yeah. For me, 28, I have Captain Marvel. At 27, he's got Iron Man 2 from 2010. It says Iron Man 2 is not a movie. This is a $200 million commercial for Marvel's The Avengers. The first time I watched Iron Man 2 in the theater, I didn't like it. Then I saw it a few years later. I saw it later. I rewatched it a few times when I got Disney Plus, a few years ago, and I kind of appreciated it a little more later on. It's not a good movie, but I have it way further down my list than he does. He's got his at 27. At 27, I have Thor 2, so The Dark World. So we're kind of flip flopping a little bit, but I strongly disagree. I think Iron Man 2 is a little better than people remember. I really like the part where Tony Stark is trying to figure out how to combat the radium poisoning, or palladium. When I say radium, palladium poisoning from the arc reactor in his blood. I kind of, the more I watched that, I kind of like that little sideline story plot. But I'm not saying it's a great movie. The villain wasn't handled right. Whiplash is one of the mainstream comic book Iron Man villains. Later on, they turned him into Backlash or something like that. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've read those. I picked up all those issues off the spinner rack in the late 70s when Bob Layton was the artist. David Michelinie was writing it, and Bob Layton. Those are some classic Iron Mans. But I didn't like the way they did Whiplash at all. That was a little strange to me. So anyway, moving on. He's 27. He's got Iron Man 2, and I've got Thor 2. Now, at 26, this is where we start really disagreeing a little bit. He's got at 26 Thor from 2011. I guess the guy's not a Thor MCU fan at all. I loved Thor 1. I thought it was awesome. I've got that in my top 10. MCU movies. I really liked it. At 26, I have Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is, to me, by far the worst Iron Man movie they've made. It just was nonsensical to me and pointless. I just didn't care for Iron Man 3 at all. So 26, I've got Iron Man 3. Thought it was a terrible movie. There's many movies I like better than Iron Man 3. I like Ant-Man Quantumania better than Iron Man 3. Just didn't care for it. I hated what they did with the whole Mandarin thing, and that always just stuck with me, and I just could never get over it, because in the comic book, Mandarin is a really cool villain. He's Iron Man's Doctor Doom, basically. So anyway, he's got Thor at 26, and I've got Iron Man 3. Now at 25, he's got Iron Man 3. So we're pretty close on that. At 25, I have Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi was a movie. Once again, I just don't see the point in it. It could have been a pretty cool Disney Plus series, I think, if they would have kept with more of the martial arts Hong Kong style type. I mean, Shang-Chi, they have contempt for the character that was made in the early 70s. The character was based off Bruce Lee. I mean, Bruce Lee was a cultural icon in the early 70s. He tragically died in the early 70s, but his legend lived on, and his movies just gained more popularity, and Marvel's trying to cash in on that popular fad. And the Shang-Chi comic book was a pretty decent comic book. It didn't have much to do with the outside of Marvel, the Marvel universe. He was kind of like a secret agent type character, but of course they're going to go back and, it's got racial stereotypes and all of this stuff. I mean, it was the early 70s, man. They were just copying off of Hong Kong cinema, basically. So, I mean, cut them a break, okay? But the comic book lasted quite a while. They even had a black and white magazine, The Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, that came around as well. So, I mean, they were cool. They were cool, fun, entertaining comic books. We didn't look at them. We didn't look at them as like some. We didn't put them in. We didn't paint everything with some sort of racial brush that everybody's offended by everything. It was just cool. It was a cool comic book, and yeah, I'll just leave it at that. But the movie was not very good at all. I just thought it was. It's they're trying to reinvent the character, put their own spin on it. It doesn't work more times than not. It just doesn't work. So let's move on. At 24, he has Captain Marvel. So he liked old Brie Larson Captain Marvel from 2019 a lot more than I did. At 24, I had Ant-Man 2. To me, Ant-Man 2 is the worst of the Ant-Man movies. I did not care for it at all. I saw a lot of wasted potential in that movie, especially with they could have introduced the Black Goliath character. In essence, they kind of did, but of course they didn't do anything with it. Black Goliath is a character, a lesser known character from Marvel in the 70s. And they just didn't do anything with it. Just didn't like the movie. I thought the movie bored me silly. Ant-Man 2 did. So I've got Ant-Man 2 at number 24, and he's got Captain Marvel. So there's not much more we can say about that. At 23, Black Widow. Black Widow from 2021, it suffered from, I know Scarlett Johansson was not happy with that they did the day one release on the Disney Plus streaming service as well as the cinematic release, and she thinks that it could have made a lot more money. I disagree. It wasn't a very good movie. There was certain parts I liked about it. I liked Florence Pugh, in Lena as her kind of sister or whatever. But I there were some parts, and I liked the David Harbour as Red Guardian. I thought that was some pretty cool moments in that movie. I didn't hate Black Widow. I've got at 23, I've got Black Panther, the Black Panther movie. I liked Black Widow movie better than I liked Black Panther. Didn't care for either of the Black Panther movies. I liked Wakanda Forever just slightly better than I liked Black Panther. Black Panther to me was just a dull movie. Wasted potential. Love the Black Panther character. I've been a big fan of the Black Panther character since the 70s. I loved him when he was in the Avengers. They wrote him into the Avengers in the mid 70s, late 70s with that classic lineup. And I just love the character. And I loved how they depicted the character in Captain America Civil War. I was like, oh, I can't wait to see a Black Panther movie if it's going to be like this. And I was so disappointed when I watched that movie. So moving on, 23, he's got Black Widow, and I have Black Panther. Coming down at 22, he's got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 from 2017. That's a movie I did see in the movie theater. And I enjoyed it. I didn't like it near as much as the first Guardians of the Galaxy, but I did like it. I've got this quite a ways down my list. At 22, I have Wakanda Forever. Wakanda Forever, like I said, I didn't like it. It bored me. I wish they would have recast Chadwick Boseman. I like Chadwick Boseman. I thought he was perfect as T'Challa. I still want to see. I want to see the original Black Panther character in Black Panther movies. Okay, it wasn't terrible. The making Shuri. I mean, Shuri became Black Panther anyway in Marvel canon, but I wanted to see Black Panther. I know it's a tragedy that he died. I was sad about it, but they really, in the first Black Panther movie, they really toned the character down. He was just way too bland for me. And the drawing attraction, of course, for Wakanda Forever for me was the depiction of Namor, which I didn't hate, but I didn't really, I wasn't really all that excited about it as well after seeing it. I would have liked to seen more of like Atuma, maybe introduce Tyrak. That would have been really cool. But yeah, the whole Namor thing, kind of, I don't know. It was just kind of dull for me. I just didn't care for it that much. So he's got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 at 22, and I had Wakanda Forever. I just didn't. I don't agree with that at all. I thought Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was a decent movie. It was entertaining. At 21, he's got Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. So we're pretty close on that. At 21, I've got Black Widow. So we kind of flip-flopped on those. Black Widow, the big disappointment for me, Black Widow, was the Taskmaster. It's another cool villain. It's another cool villain, introduced in the late 70s in the pages of the Avengers. That's just used as like a side character. And they, the Taskmaster protocol. No, stick to the original essence of the character, man. He trains supervillains. He's got his own academy that he trains. He trains other supervillains. He's a man. He's got photographic reflexes. You don't have to turn him into a gimmick. Stop making these characters gimmicks just for the sake of your plot, okay? God, you uncreative, lazy. Don't get me started. Yeah, the whole Taskmaster thing stuck in my craw. Let's put it that way. So let's move on. I'm not going to delve that too much of this. Will take forever. At 20, he's got Spider-Man: Far From Home. 20, I've got Thor: Ragnarok. I'm being generous on this one. Another Taika Waititi movie that had some pretty cool parts. The Thor Hulk battle was cool. Probably the best part of the whole movie. Once again, we've got jokes, and the guy has no idea. I don't know who wrote the movie. I think he had a hand in writing the movie. Like I said, it's a crime to have him write these movies, have any kind of input on these kind of movies as well. The guy doesn't know the character, doesn't take the character seriously, doesn't seem like who is he making these movies for? So, Thor: Ragnarok is loosely based on a Walt Simonson comic book from the mid 80s, early to mid 80s, where he had that classic run of Thor. He had a storyline called Ragnarok a Roll, which is it had to do with Surtur coming to destroy Asgard and all that. Someday I might go over some of those classic issues from the Bronze Age of Marvel Comics, but it was just a slap in the face to me. It's like, how dare you take some of Walt Simonson's classic storylines and then butcher them like that? If you're gonna take the classic ones, do them justice. Get a director that will do the movie justice. I thought Kenneth Branagh, the guy that directed Thor 1, he actually seemed to care about the franchise a little bit. So. Moving on, he's got Spider-Man: No Way Home 2019 at 20, and I've got Thor: Ragnarok. Let's move on down here. Spider-Man: No Way Home. I hate the titling of the Spider-Man movies. Spider-Man: No Way Home or Spider-Man: Far From Home. Was that Far From Home? That was the second one with Mysterio. Okay. Homecoming was the first one. Okay, I get them all mixed up. At 19, he has Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness from 2022. At 19, I have Spider-Man: Homecoming, the first Spider-Man. Didn't care for it. Wasn't a fan of how they did the Vulture. I like Michael Keaton enough. I wouldn't have cast him as the Vulture. I don't know. Once again, it's a character they don't do right. Once again, they've got a little side character, Shocker. The Shocker, really cool Spider-Man villain, and they make him like some sort of little side gimmick. It just drives me nuts, man. It's like, no, the Shocker you could make a movie, Spider-Man. He could be like he could be a substantial secondary villain in a Spider-Man movie. But no, they throw him away. They make him like a little lackey, like a goon that's got some devices. Nah, the Shocker's a cool villain, man. So that's what pissed me off about Spider-Man: Homecoming. And I have that at number 19. He's got Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. I actually enjoyed Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. I've got that a little bit further down my list. So, At 18, he's got Avengers Age of Ultron. Ooh, he really didn't like Avengers Age of Ultron from 2015. At number 18, I had Ant-Man. Ant-Man is the first Ant-Man is my favorite Ant-Man movie, but that's not saying much. I still didn't care for it that much. I like Paul Rudd. I think he's good casting as Scott Lang. But once again, I want the Yellow Jacket. The whole Yellow Jacket thing, they made a gimmick again. Yellow Jacket is a really cool was a really cool character in the 70s in the Avengers. And I hate to see it utilized like that. I just don't like the modern spin on it. I would have liked to seen Hank Pym become Yellow Jacket, and then maybe they have a little, maybe put him in the plot and they have a little conflict. That would have been much better for me. I didn't care for the way they did the Yellow Jacket suit in, or as in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Cassie Lang says, "Dad, I was attacked by a guy dressed as a bee." I mean, can you take the stuff serious? Come on, man. I mean, don't get me started. Anyway, where was I here? Number 18, Avengers Age of Ultron. I didn't care for Avengers Age of Ultron that much, but I've got it lower down the list than 18. At 18, I had Ant-Man. So let's go on here. At 17, he's got Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Yeah, I've already covered that. I had Shang-Chi at 25. He's got it at 17. He liked it much better than I did. I don't know. He says, much like other MCU films, Shang-Chi is littered with moments where humorless scene-killing attempts at comedy are played up for cheap laughs. It's true. I would have liked to have seen a much more serious Shang-Chi movie. Like I said, I'm not going to go into it too much. I didn't care for the Shang-Chi movie that much. At 17, I've got Spider-Man Far From Home. Spider-Man Far From Home must be the second one with Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. I actually like the modern twist they did with the Mysterio, having the gadgets, doing the illusions and all of that. It was kind of a twist, and then the twist kind of threw me a little bit when I watched that movie. Still didn't think it was a great movie, but I thought it was much better than Spider-Man Homecoming. Number 16, he's got that 2008 Ed Norton Incredible Hulk, the one I was talking about earlier, that was actually a Universal release. And he says that here. Marvel movie that Disney pretends doesn't exist because it technically belongs to Universal Studios, but it still has some elements of the MCU in it. Thunderbolt Ross and all that stuff. So I wish Ed Norton would have stuck around. I like him way more than Mark Ruffalo. I can't stand Mark Ruffalo. Okay. I mean, he's not terrible as Bruce Banner, but I think Ed Norton makes a better. I just prefer Ed Norton as Bruce Banner. So he's got that at 16. I've got that further down the list. At 16, I have the first Doctor Strange movie. Just kind of middle of the road. The more I watch it, the more I like it a little more. It's got some, it's definitely got some groundbreaking visuals in it. And I love the visualization of Dormammu. And that's, to me, was the best part of the movie. I want more of that. I want dark dimension stuff. Dormammu is the main villain of Doctor Strange, him and Nightmare. So why not give us more Dormammu? But once again, they use him kind of as a gimmick. They're always referring to him throughout the movie because the dark dimension. But why not make him the main villain? I mean, why not build him up? Because that is an epic villain for Doctor Strange. But they can't seem to. I don't know. They seem to cast an actor and then get married to that idea that we have to make up some. We have to insert some lesser known villain to match that actor or something. It's kind of what they did with the the villain in Doctor Strange. I can't think of him right off the bat, but I think that I like the actor that played the villain in Doctor Strange 1, but he's not a mainstream hardcore Doctor Strange villain. Bring the big stuff in. Bring Dormammu, bring Nightmare in. That would have been much better. And of course, they did have that scene with Dormammu, which was epic. I mean, to me, that made the movie. When I watched Doctor Strange movie, I just fast forward to that part, and then I was like, okay, I'm about done. To me, that made the movie. So anyway, gone off long enough about that. He's got Incredible Hulk at 16. I've got Doctor Strange. At 15, he's got Black Panther from 2018. He liked that movie way more than I did. To me, I just thought that movie was dull. It's just not what I visualized, what I thought a Black Panther movie should be. I thought a Black Panther movie should have had way more action and just, like I said, I just thought the movie was dull. At 15, I have Iron Man 2. So I've got Iron Man 2 right in the middle of my list. Let's move on. Thor Ragnarok, he's got it from 2017. At number 14, he's got that. So he liked that movie way more than I did. I just did not like Thor Ragnarok. So we strongly disagree there. At 14, I had Doctor Strange 2. I've got Doctor Strange, the multitude of madness. I'm probably going to get a multitude of haters saying, "Oh, I can't believe you like." I am definitely outside the norm of enjoying that movie. To me, that movie is more entertaining, mostly due to Sam Raimi's visual style. I like Sam Raimi. I'm a Sam Raimi fan. So, I really liked what he did with the first 2 Spider-Man movies. Let's not talk about that third one too much. But I liked him. I wish they would have cut him loose a little more on the visual style. You can see that Marvel kind of reined him back a little bit. So I'm not 100% sure he was designated to be the original director for that movie. I'm not sure what happened there. So anyway, Doctor Strange 2, the Multiverse of Madness, I have it number 14, and he's got Thor Ragnarok. Going down, he's got Ant-Man and the Wasp at 13. He said it's pretty obvious that Ant-Man and the Wasp was intended to be a lighthearted, upbeat comedy that brings up the experience of the audiences, and it delivers exactly that. Oh, really? I didn't want Ant-Man and the Wasp to be a light, upbeat comedy. If I want to watch a light, upbeat comedy, I'll watch a light, upbeat comedy. I'm not going to watch a superhero movie. Maybe Deadpool, a parody, tongue-in-cheek parody stuff, but not Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm getting tired of this campiness, this freaking. If I want to watch campy superheroes, I'll fire up the Adam West Batmans from the 60s. I mean, come on. I thought it was a dull. I just thought it was a bad movie. I've got it at number 24. At 13, I've got Avengers: Age of Ultron. So once again, a wasted movie. Should have been an awesome. They could have done 2 movies about Ultron if they would have done it right, but they didn't. Of course, they screw it up. They make him make him more of a gimmick than anything. They tone him down, and man, talk about wasted potential. I mean, just listen to the title, Avengers: Age of Ultron. That could be an epic 2-part movie. No, of course not. Of course not. They dumb it down. But I still enjoyed certain aspects of it. It was, it was an Avengers movie, and there were parts that were cool. I liked the introduction of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Of course, I wish they wouldn't have killed off Quicksilver, but anyway, what are you going to do? So let's move on to number 12 on his list. He's got Spider-Man: Homecoming, and this is one that this is the one I don't understand. I did not like. He says it's hard to set a new direction for Spider-Man given how his film series has been rebooted like 3 times in 15 years. But with Homecoming, we finally get a high school version of the wall crawler that isn't 30 years old. I don't mind a high school. I mean, we got a high school version from the Tobey Maguire He was in high school that first movie, right? Yeah, and then he graduates, and then I mean, in the comic books, he graduated high school in the late '60s. So they had him going to Empire State University all throughout the '70s and the majority of the '80s in the comic books. So yeah, I just don't understand. We finally get a high school version of the wall crawler that isn't 30 years old. I mean, that's his opinion. I don't really want to see a high school version of Spider-Man anymore. I like more of a college level. I still want him young, but more a college level Spider-Man movie. He's got that at 12. At 12, I have Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So I enjoyed that just a little bit more than I enjoyed Avengers Age of Ultron. So moving on here. At 11, he's got Avengers Endgame. He doesn't even have Avengers Endgame in the top 10. So to me, that's a little. I thought that was a pretty good movie for what it was. It's kind of wrapping up their epic story arc there, building up for a whole entire decade of movies. So I think they did. I think all things considering, it's not like the comic books, of course, but all things considering bringing it to the big screen, I thought they did a pretty good job with those last two Avengers movies. I enjoyed them. I really enjoyed them. At number 11, I have the first Captain America movie. I think it's an underrated movie. I think, obviously, he's going to like it more than I did. I saw it in the movie theater. It's a little tame, but it's a well-made movie. The story is good. Once again, Red Skull they threw away Red Skull just a little bit. Red Skull is Captain America's main utilized villain, from late 60s all throughout the 70s. The majority of the storylines had something to do with the Red Skull. I know it's the Hydra, Nazis, and all of that, and it was depicted back during World War II. So I think they did a good job with the movie. I enjoyed it. It's a little. I love the origin part. I like the first half of the movie much better than I like the second half, and I love the way they did the origin. And then he chased the guy that shoots Abraham Erskine, the Hydra agent, and then he chases him through the street, and then he swims down to try to stop the submarine. I thought that was really cool. He rips the door off of the taxi or whatever it was to stop the bullets. I thought that was a really cool part of the movie. So I enjoyed Captain America 1. I've got it at number 11. Avengers Endgame all the way down to number 11. Man. He says for many Marvel fans, this film is considered the end of the MCU. Well, it kind of is, as they knew and loved it, because they're really not following up very strong after Endgame. If you followed any part of the film's 11-year buildup, you will definitely like Endgame. Yeah. He says jam-packed with moments of fan service included specifically for fans to mark out in the theaters. Fanboys will love it. General audiences will enjoy the experiences. Yeah, there were a few cringy moments. I didn't like when all the women heroes united for a scene, and then they made a big deal about Captain Marvel coming down, and then Thanos basically bitch slapped her. But the part with Cap gets me on her. That was cool. There's a lot of good scenes. There's a few cringy scenes, but overall, I think it was a well-done movie. Number 10, he's got Doctor Strange. He liked Doctor Strange more than he liked Avengers Endgame. Number 10, I've got that 2008 Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton. Once again, I really enjoyed that, and I love the Abomination fight. The last 15 minutes of that movie, I loved it. I mean, I was like, oh, that was cool. That was a well done fight, like a superhero battle. I love the very ending where, Hulk doesn't utter a word the whole thing, the whole movie, and Abomination's like, any last words? And he's like, Hulk smash. And he's just like, pounds. He does the ground pound and the shockwave. I love that. I just love that part. So yeah, I thought it was a well-made movie. Vastly underrated movie in my opinion. So 10, he's got Doctor Strange. 10, I've got Incredible Hulk. At 9, he's got Ant-Man. Ant-Man was I've got Ant-Man at 18. It's a decent movie. I just thought it was a little bit dull. He must be more of a Paul Rudd fan than I am. I don't know. Maybe that's the reason he likes it. It says if only Disney had let Edgar Wright finish his original take on the Tiny Titans silver screen debut. I mean, they let Rian Johnson destroy Star Wars. Oh, boy. For the sake of his vision. Yeah, we got to get away from that. I don't care about the director's vision. What I care about is the director being true to the source material. Screw your vision, okay? If you're making original works, go at it. I'm interested in your vision. But I'm not interested in your vision when your vision means you're changing all these characters to fit your vision. No, that's not the way it should work. I'm sorry. These characters existed before you did there, buddy. That's what I would say to these directors, okay? We don't need your spin on it. We don't need your vision. Stick to the source material and make the best possible movie and be a lot more stringent on the scripts that you're getting for some of this garbage that they're churning out lately. Okay, that's my rant. Number 9, Ant-Man. Number 9, Thor 1 for me. I like Kenneth Branagh as a director. He seems to really take that kind of thing seriously. The Norse mythology, kind of Shakespearean stuff is right up his alley. I wish they would have made Thor a little bit more Shakespearean, like Chris Claremont writes him in the comic books, or Jim Shooter used to write him in the comic books in the late 70s. That's the Thor I know and love, and I think that's the Thor that the hardcore audiences want the most. Now I could be wrong about that, but I don't like the beta. I don't like the beta male, not sure of himself Thor, wimpy Thor. Oh, gee, this is what heroes do. I like the arrogant Thor, nay villain, stuff like that. That's the Thor that I really get into. So he's got Ant-Man. So I've got he's got Ant-Man 1 at number 9, and I've got Thor 1 at number 9. Another thing about the Thor 1 movie, yeah, I didn't like the whole Natalie Portman thing, but I love the Rainbow Bridge fight against Loki. I like the Destroyer fight well enough, and I loved the first 15 minutes of that movie. The first 15, 20 minutes where they go to Jotunheim, fight the Frost Giants. I thought that was awesome. I was like, oh, this is going to be so cool. And then they kind of changed then they put Thor on Midgard, and okay, it went downhill a little bit from there. But I think it was the story arc was well done about how he redeemed himself. So moving on, enough about Thor 1. At 8, he's got Captain America, the First Avenger. So he liked the movie just a little more than I did. We both liked the movie. He's got it in his top 10. I had it at number 11, close enough to my top 10. Not going to say much about that. Number 7, he's got Avengers Infinity War. I think that's a little too low down on the list. Number 7, I have Guardians of the Galaxy number 1. Yeah, we're in the top 10 here. So, yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy number 1, really, really strong. That movie definitely overperformed on a lesser known franchise. I personally like the original Guardians of the Galaxy from the 70s with, Martin and Nikki and Starhawk and Vance Astro. I like those. I like that Guardians. I would have much rather seen those Guardians depicted, but I thought they did the best they could with it. And Guardians of the Galaxy 1 to me was a really good movie, really entertaining. So at 7, he's got Avengers of Infinity War. I've got that way higher, obviously. Number 6, he's got the first Avengers from 2012. At number 6, I have Spider-Man No Way Home. So we're getting close here, lined up in our top 10 a little bit. Spider-Man No Way Home was just a really cool movie. It was just a fun movie. It's one of those movies where there's some couple plot holes, and it's a complicated, you're dealing with the multiverse and all of that. But I liked Alfred Molina coming back as Doc Ock. I thought that was really cool. Just kind of the nostalgia part. I could have done without Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, but it was fine the way they did it. Just an entertaining movie. Didn't need to see Jamie Foxx as Electro again, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. William Dafoe coming back as Norman Osborn, Green Goblin. That was cool. It was just a fun movie. It was a well done movie. I really enjoyed it. I've got it at number 6 on my list. He's got the Avengers. He's got Spider-Man No Way Home, number 5. At number 5, I've got the Avengers. So we flip-flopped on those. Avengers set the bar really high, 2012. Great movie. Loki, there was a couple parts of the movie where I think they should have done Loki a little better. I know the casual fan really likes the Tom Hiddleston Loki. I like Tom Hiddleston. I think he is cast well as Loki. I would have liked to seen a little bit more of just I don't know. Just the beginning of that movie's a little strange to me. Let's just say that. They've got where he's mind controlling with the gym and all, with the cosmic, what do they call it? A tesseract, the cosmic cube, or whatever. I always called it the cosmic cube. Where they're taking control of the minds, and then they have that weird pickup truck chase scene, and I was like. So I was kind of scratching my head at the first 10 minutes of that movie. And then they got into the SHIELD helicarrier and then kind of turned everything loose. And then, of course, the New York fight scene with the alien invasion was awesome. So, yeah, I really love the first Avengers movie. And like I said, he's got Spider-Man No Way Home at 5. I've got the Avengers. Number 4, he's got Captain America Civil War. Okay. So he really enjoyed Captain America Civil War. I did as well. I absolutely love that movie. And number 4, I've got Iron Man 1. Iron Man 1 is just a classic, very well done movie. I'm not going to talk about it much. I mean, it pretty much speaks for itself. It's a great start to the MCU. Could you imagine the MCU if that movie fails? I think Jon Favreau did a wonderful job putting that movie together. Iron Man 2 dropped off quality wise. There's really no way to get around that. But that's a big Iron Man 1. It's hard to follow that up and make audiences happy. But I think Jon Favreau did a pretty good job with those first 2 movies. But Iron Man 1, definitely a classic. Got everything kickstarted very nicely. So what do you have? He had Captain America Civil War. Then he had Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 as his 3rd favorite. So he liked it. I had it at number 7. At number 3, I've got Avengers Endgame. I've already talked about it. Not much more to say about that. At number 2, he's got Iron Man. So I can't argue much with his top 10 here. Iron Man from 2008, the film that jump-started the entire MCU, is a textbook, perfect origin story for a superhero. I 100% agree with that. I just enjoyed the Avengers Endgame Infinity War just a little more than I did Iron Man. So at number 1... number 2, I didn't say what my number 2... Well, number 2 is Avengers Infinity War. That's my second favorite Marvel movie. Just Thanos was cool. All his lieutenants coming, down to New York and battling Doctor Strange and Iron Man, and then you've got the Hulkbuster suit. I just loved Avengers Infinity War. I thought it was just an epic movie. I enjoyed it just a little bit more than I liked Endgame. So at number 1, drum roll for him, is Captain America Winter Soldier. I had Captain America. I think I didn't mention my number 8. At number 8, he had, I think I passed over that. I don't remember talking about that. At number 8, he had Captain America, the First Avenger. At number 8, I had Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier. Really good movie. Really well-made movie by the Russo brothers. I think that was the Russo brothers' first delve into the MCU, and they sure didn't disappoint. Kevin Feige was smart having those two do the two final Avengers movies. I guess they're not going to be final because we're going to get Kang Dynasty, but number 1, he's got Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I wouldn't put it at anywhere near number 1. I've got it at number 8, like I said. He said the absolute best movie of the Marvel Cinematic Universe has to be Captain America: The Winter Soldier. At number 1, I've got Captain America: Civil War. I think that's the absolute best Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. I had a blast when I went to see Captain America: Civil War in the movie theater. I remember having that. I mean, I'm old and I'm cynical, and very few times when I go to the movie theater do I get that feeling that like I'm a little kid again. And the airport battle scene when I first saw it in Captain America: Civil War gave me that feeling just for a couple minutes. I zoned everything out, and I got, it gave me the goosebumps. Like, oh yeah, with Ant-Man, they had Ant-Man grow to Giant Man for the first time. They had War Machine and Falcon, battling him and all that. And when Spider-Man showed up against the little banter he had back and forth with Captain America, I just love that fight. I love that scene, and that just got me. That just kind of took me away for a few minutes. I remember walking out of that movie really, really feeling it. I hadn't had a movie make me feel that way in quite a while. So, that feeling you get when you were a little kid. And I went to see Star Wars for the first time, and I saw Empire Strikes Back, and movies used to really, you're not as cynical, and movies used to really make you feel something. And me, I'm I can only give you my personal view on that, but movies really used to. That's what you wanted out of the movie. You wanted it to make you feel something. And, I got that feeling again when I watched Captain America: Civil War. So enough about that. That's my list. We're not too far off. We've got some differences. He doesn't like Thor movies. And I enjoyed Thor -- I thought it was a pretty well-made movie. So that is going to wrap up my top 30. That's my top 30. Now, where would I put Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania? That is a good question. I would put Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, if I had to do my list over again, I would put that right. I would probably put that at number 21. And then I'd bump everything up. Like Thor: Love and Thunder would become the worst at 31, but I would put it right there about 21. I enjoyed it about as much as I enjoyed Black Widow. I liked it a little better than Wakanda Forever and Black Panther. I liked it better than Ant-Man 2. I liked it better than Iron Man 3 and Eternals Captain Marvel, but I didn't enjoy it as much as the original Ant-Man. I like the original Ant-Man better than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Saying more of that. Now, speaking of that, let me get into let me get into something that I saw regarding more MCU stuff, and from Kevin Feige here. I'm going to transition over to this. This is, again, from Bounding Into Comics. Kevin Feige reveals Marvel will cut back on Disney Plus shows after no Marvel series cracked the top 10 or cracked the top 15 streaming shows of 2022. that is just mind-boggling to me that no Marvel shows have cracked the top 15 streaming shows of 2022. That is crazy. But look at what they put out. You've got She-Hulk, garbage, okay? What was the other one? Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, and they're going to add that to the Marvels movie. Can you believe that? The upcoming Captain Marvel 2, which I'm going to talk about here in a second. They're adding her in that, like that's going to carry something. Nobody watched Miss Marvel. It was the lowest rated Marvel streaming movie or streaming show. Says Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige announced the company will be cutting back on Disney Plus shows following a disastrous 2022 that saw none of their shows crack the top 15 streaming shows. And they have Nielsen revealed their top 15 streaming programs of 2022 back in January. The only 3 Disney Plus programs cracked the list were Encanto. I don't know what that is. Bluey. I don't know what Bluey is. And The Simpsons. Okay, The Simpsons, that's an old show. I don't know anything about the other 2, but here's original programs. Stranger Things, no surprise there, number 1. You got Ozark, Wednesday, never even heard of it. All of these are on Netflix, of course. Cobra Kai. But look what we have here. Number 11, The Boys. The Boys is The Boys the top superhero comic-based streaming show of 2022? Apparently it is. We got the Rings of Power at 15. Their billion-dollar Rings of Power barely squeaking in here at 15. You've got the Great British Baking Show on Netflix. It had more viewers than Amazon Prime Video's The Ring of Power. The Boys outdid it. I mean, what's a better known franchise, The Boys or the Lord of the Rings? The Lord of the Rings is huge. There's no way that should be at 15. Why? Because it was garbage. Because diversity and inclusion was their agenda, not being true to the story, not being true to the franchise, not being true to the source material. The Boys, guess what? It was. So I'm going to go over here. The Boys were more popular than any Disney Plus Marvel series in 2022. That's crazy. You know, The Boys is based off of Garth Ennis's comic book that was originally published by Wildstorm, I believe, offshoot of DC at the time. But then I think it was bought out by another comic publisher, and I can't remember which one it is. Doesn't really matter. The Boys wasn't an overall success as a comic book, but it kind of had an underground following. It kind of had a cult following, along with his Preacher. Garth Ennis is the same comic book creator that ended up doing Preacher, and I think AMC did a Preacher show, which I don't think they still have that going. I watched some of it. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great or anything, but it wasn't too bad. But I think those two things had kind of a little bit of crossover going in the comic books, where it was supposedly in the same universe. As well, I think they had a character from Preacher kind of make a cameo in the Boys comic book. I'm not real adept at. I've read some of the Boys, Garth Ennis's The Boys comic book. Not a huge fan of it, but I am a huge fan of the Prime Video show. That's one of the times where the show is actually just as good as the comic book, if not better, because they were somewhat true to the original source material. They didn't stray too far. Now they've made changes. Obviously, they gender swapped a character, but they were pretty much true to the original, the essence of the original comic book, the original source material. So good for them. I'm looking forward to the next season. I really enjoyed that last season of The Boys. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next next season of The Boys, definitely. So I'm glad it beat out all of Marvel's Phase 4 woke crap. In 2021, I enjoyed WandaVision. I thought it was decent. It wasn't anything great. I didn't like Captain America or the Falcon and Winter Soldier or whatever. I didn't care for that at all. I thought that was garbage. Loki was just kind of okay. Hawkeye was okay. It was a little boring, but I thought Hawkeye was decent. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate Kate Bishop as much as I thought I was going to. That was kind of surprising for me. And I like the fact that they brought back Kingpin a little bit from the Netflix Daredevil. And we'll see how that's going to go. The new Daredevil show, I'm hoping. I've seen a rumor about some of the showrunners, and I have a bad feeling about this. To quote Han Solo, yeah, ooh boy. Don't ruin Daredevil. Okay, to me, the Netflix season 1 of Daredevil is my all-time favorite comic book adaptation that went to a streaming service. So I'd say The Boys is probably number 2 on my list. But anyway, that's kind of so. We'll skip over to the news about the Marvels back to Disney. Back to the old Disney MCU. Marvel Studios' weakness on full display. Company shifts the Marvel summer release date to November. I guess originally the Marvels was supposed to come out late 2022. They bumped it back to July for whatever reason of 2023, and now they're bumping it back even more. Marvels was actually supposed to come out before Ant-Man Quantumania, and what happened was I don't know if it's reshoots. There's a lot of rumors going around. Maybe the movie just sucks. It's not a movie I plan on going to see in the movie theater. Will I eventually watch the movie on the streaming service? Probably, because I just want to keep up with it. Yeah, I know that's the wrong attitude to have. Like, cut them off completely. But I mean, I am curious. I do want to watch it, but I'm not expecting. I'm expecting maybe a new worst. I don't see how it could be worse than Thor: Love and Thunder. Wow, that's Mariana Trench going down the Mariana Trench low bar set for that garbage of a movie. I mean, but I expect it to be, way down on my list there of my favorite MCU movies if I ever do end up seeing it. Kamala Khan might be a deal breaker for me. How can they bring that to the Marvel Cinematic Universe? That should have never been a thing. Wow, I watched the first episode of that, and I was like, "Oh man, this is going to be really bad." They can't. I mean, it's a garbage character to begin with, and they can't even get the garbage character right. Let's just put it that way. So anyway, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this episode. There's only one other thing I wanted to talk about. Next episode, that I found a little article. I wish I would have found this article earlier when I kind of had my discussion on the Ant-Man Quantumania movie, where the director of Ant-Man Quantumania, Peyton Reed, had made a statement about the villain Kang in the movie. And on my next episode, I'm going to do my best to debunk his statement, and I'm probably going to be showing a classic Avengers Kang comic book for reference on that. So, but one last little thing to talk about here that isn't comic related before I sign off here is Fox gives green light to female-led modern reimagining of Starsky and Hutch. This is from February 16th, and once again, bounding into comics, the latest victim of Hollywood's continuing spiral into lazy unoriginality. The classic buddy cop TV series Starsky and Hutch is the next classic IP set to receive the modern reimagining treatments. Okay, They've already did that. They did that in 2024 with Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson, who were very hot actors at the time. I mean, they were in everything, right? And they couldn't make that. They didn't do that right, and that wasn't gender swapped. A female-led modern. I mean, do they ever learn? Do these people ever learn? I'm going to leave you with that question. Do these producers of this stuff have any self-awareness? Are they trapped in their bubble, in their echo chambers? I mean, this has got to be the worst idea. When has flipping the movies to a female, nothing against females or actresses. It's not about that. People don't want to see stuff flipped like this. They've let you know. They've voted with their dollars. It doesn't work. It's not going to work for Escape from New York. It's not going to work for Starsky and Hutch. It didn't work for Ocean's 11 or whatever number it was. It didn't work for Ghostbusters. I can go on and on and on. There's plenty of great original female characters that based on either real life people like Aaron Brockovich. That was a great movie. All right. Where's the originality? Nobody wants to see female Starsky and Hutch. I don't care how they spin it. I don't care if it's their daughters or what blah, 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 or this. It doesn't matter. People aren't going to want to watch this stuff. So anyway, I'll leave you with that. Thanks for tuning in. And then until next time, take care.